Our first session, post-lunch today, is a panel discussion on the topic, sports production and its future with AI. Our moderator for this session is our own Mr. Manoj Madhavan, editor, broadcast and film magazine. Manoj. And our panelists are Neeraj Mishra, Key Account Manager, Wizard; Prashant Khanna, Head Production, Excellence and R&D, Disney Star; Manish Kapoor, Telecom and Media Lead, AWS; Kingshuk Bhattacharya, Head Broadcast Operations and Network Engineering, Sony Pictures Networks India, is not yet here, he'll be here soon; and Siddhant Agarwal, Founder, SportVault. Okay, I now request Manoj Madhavan to take over.
Let's get a quick road update from Jamie.
Mike, you guys are talking about this road and stage. He wanted Talladega. People trust him. They're going to go where Bubba goes right now.
So we have Kingshuk also has joined us. A very warm good afternoon to all the delegates for the second panel discussion, sports production and its future with AI. We have been seeing remarkable changes in the sports production, and we have an ideal speaker to kickstart the session, Prashant. Tell us about AI's role in sports production. How has AI already started to change the landscape of sports production? Can you share some real-world examples?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This looks like the graveyard shift, right? Just after lunch, and you're talking on the subject of AI. So I'll start with a disclaimer. If there is one tip that I can give you for the future, it's sunscreen. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proven by scientists, while the rest of my advice is no basis more meandering than my own, my own meandering experience. So I can dispense that advice on, what Manoj just said. So, the subject becomes that much more easier to contemplate on. AI is really interesting. Everybody's talking about it today. We in sports have looked at it in a very interesting manner in terms of breaking it down in three parts. When we talk about sports, we look at it from what we have is what we call the visual, the graphic, and the elements that come in terms of the audio. And we've tried to break it down in all three parts in terms of use case. If I were to give you an example, we actually had some of our talent, show up. Foreign talent show up in multi-language commentary, that you don't see often. We had Lara speaking in Telugu. We had Steve Smith speaking in Hindi, and it came down from a point that if there are such great cricketers around or talent around, why should they be restricted to only speaking in their language? We did that with what we produced in terms of the first production of cricket in vertical, with the World Cup in 23. And then, we have some of our partners here, Quidditch, that worked with us on AI solutions that allowed us to do frame centering for the feed automatically, which meant that you were using same cameras, but with artificial intelligence to be able to give you an output that you could see on your phone, in terms of your viewing experience. And the third bit comes in terms of graphics. I have Neeraj here. Vizarti does a lot of stuff in AI on the elements that they look at, and we've been populating our information on our live match feeds with some of the image-based tracking that we put together. The most recent case in point is what will start for us tonight, which is PKL. That will be using AI-based graphics for the first time across all our feeds.
Okay, that's interesting take, Prashant. Coming to you as a technology provider, can you provide how AI is being used in automating camera work, replays, or any other aspects of live sports broadcast? If you can share your insights.
Sure. First, thank you. Very happy to be a part of such a distinguished panelist here. Thank you, Manoj, for having me here. First of all, AI is probably the biggest thing that has happened after internet. It's just taken all sectors by storm. And we as a technology provider to a lot of sports organizations across the globe, AI is an enabler. It is helping broadcasters to be more efficient. And when we talk about what do we do in AI, Vizarti focuses a lot on R&D and research. And there are many things whether, and this is more before a game is produced. There is a lot of hard work that broadcasters have to put in to produce a match. Whether it is about, camera calibration, whether it is about keying, or whether it is about, search. And these are the parameters or, places where Vizarti as an organization is using its tech to make the process more simpler for broadcasters. So the video that you just saw, that was one of the examples where one of our softwares, Arena, it's looking at the image, the computer vision of the live sports, and it is able to track, the car and who's driving it, what is the speed. So it's basically, combination of multiple technologies talking to each other and providing a lot of data. And as an organization, we want the storytelling tools to become much better. So there are a lot of tools in Vizarti, especially for our sports products, where we are looking at image-based tracking, we are looking at AI keying, we are looking at making the calibration process more simpler, and we are also looking at how you can search, in archives on what content needs to be displayed first.
Thank you very much for that insight. Coming to you, Kingshuk, AI and predictive analytics. How is AI being used to predict game outcomes, player performance, and other key metrics that broadcasters can use to enhance the coverage?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Manoj, for having me here. This is a very, very dear subject to me, and AI is obviously the buzzword right now. I would like to start with a simple fact, which I guess everybody on the dais will agree. Sports is much more than just the audio-video feed that's produced on the field, right? Besides audio-video, there's a lot of data that's been collected while playing the match, while playing the game, around the game, before the game, after the game. So all these data that has been generated for a particular game, AI basically helps in crunching a lot of those data into analytics, into predictive analytics, into a lot more data where you can help the sportsman play a better game, a broadcaster broadcasting much more data-rich productions. In fact, teams can get a lot of benefit with all the data that's been collected of the player, the game. Sports is also very event specific, right? When you say event specific, it's time bound. there are a lot of action that happens on the game, which are the highlights of that game. So, like for example, in cricket, a wicket, a no ball, a wide, a boundary. These are, very, very specific events that happen, contact sports, competitive sports. So all of these data basically that gets generated either naturally or machine-wise or using machine learning, all of these will now get easily crunchable into something that can be made available besides the audio and video feed for the users to get a much more immersive experience and make fan engagement much better. So I feel it's just about begun. What Prashant touched based on star speaking in your local language is much more receivable. It makes a lot of engagement in that particular regional language possible. These are few things which probably are just the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot more to come in, and it also augments the human capability to make sports coverage much more, individual. So I think a lot of work has to happen. It's already happening, I might say, behind the scene with the companies like Vizati. But I'm just saying that, we're all still in the very nascent stages. We will get to a much better tomorrow. And I look forward to that, and I'm sure everybody is looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you for that insight. Coming to you, Siddhant, personalization and fan engagement. How is AI helping broadcasters and sports organizations deliver more personalized viewing experiences to the fans? For example, personalized camera angles, statistics, or highlights?
Yeah, I think, firstly, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Manoj, for having me. I think one important point when we talk about AI is that we sometimes rate it too highly. I think Manish should have been here. We would have talked about how expensive AI can be sometimes as well. But there are merits to it. So, for example, the biggest merit that we see is in highlights. Like a lot of the matches that we stream are actually absolute lower tier sports games happening in gullies or in very sort of at scale, right? You have 20-30,000 matches happening in a year that we are streaming. So it's humanly impossible for us to create highlights for every single game. And I think highlights is one of the biggest areas where we've adopted a lot of automations, where AI is helping us create highlights at scale and at speed. Like the moment your match is over, you've got your 4-minute, 5-minute clip of the match ready, which is then shared across various social media handles in an instant. So I think the biggest shift that we are seeing in content creation through AI is very much streamlined now, I think, for the shorter form. Or of course it's going to get better, but on the longer forms where we are trying to automate, or I wouldn't say eliminate the cameraman, but at least cover more video, cover more games, or broadcast more games without the need of having extra personnel deployed. So I think these are the two places where we see the most use cases for us personally as a company. Fan engagement for us is slightly different. It's more because at the scale that we are operating, you don't have millions of viewers, but you have a few thousand viewers at the most. So more or less, that's not a focus area for us, Manoj. But I think the highlights and in general video creation is where AI helps us a lot.
Thank you. Coming to you, Prashant. How has AI revolutionized the process of creating sports highlight? Can AI identify and compile key moments faster or better than humans?
Well, some part of it Siddhant answered in terms of, what it can do. What's interesting is that, for us to differentiate between being artificially intelligent and using artificial intelligence in terms of the output, right? Kingshuk mentioned about the data that actually comes in. It's the data that helps collate all of that eventually and gives you the output. So the information that we see today, we had built a automated highlights tool for linear broadcast about 3.5 years ago, using machine learning and artificial intelligence, which allowed us to even pick up moments in terms of reactions from big players. So if Virat Kohli was punching in the air, that would be that would be a moment that would get captured in the automated highlights that would come in. So it wasn't just about 4 6s or wickets. You had to build. So what's interesting is that all of us are in the business of feelings. Sports is a business of feeling. It's about what you see, how things are actually shaping on the field of play that you don't control. So when it translates into a highlight, it effectively needs to capture all of those moments in a very interesting way. You get today, I think, about 140, 150 data points per ball, that you capture, that effectively churns out your highlight. And, a dot ball in the 19th over is more important than a 6 in the first over. And that's what the system needs to correlate and put together. So to answer to your question, it's definitely helping in churning out faster, output, giving faster output. The volume is definitely going up. It's aiding in adding, more visual capabilities, and it only goes from strength to strength. The data keeps adding up, and then you build from there. So I think you will see it not just for highlights, but somewhere probably for content getting created as well.
Coming to you, Neeraj, in what way is AI enabling more efficient remote sports production, particularly in the post-pandemic world where remote work and production are becoming common as a technology provider?
Yeah, so I think AI and remote production go hand in hand. It's started off in COVID actually. We actually worked with Star Sports quite a bit during that time. So when we talk about remote productions, we look at cloud production, and cloud helps you to collaborate more. You can be anywhere and you can create content. And automation, when you talk about automation, you can automate your cameras, you can automate your graphics. So the role of the editorial and the producers still remain very prevalent, but it definitely adds as a beneficial to them to make this show quicker, faster. So it is a matter of scale. So in that way, the technology is helping you to create the content faster, to create the processes become more efficient. But I think the role of the editorial producers, remains much more prevalent, because, the human touch, as Prashant said, has to be, always there when we talk about sports.
Kingshuk, are there concerns about over-reliance on AI-driven predictions and analytics in sports broadcast? How can we ensure that AI complements rather than dominates sports narratives?
I think that's a very good question and a very relevant question, Manoj. I think you're right. We can't overemphasize over the game itself. At the end of it, that's what matters. The game that is being played is something which is the prime event. Anything around it, predictive, your analysis, what you say analysis, too much of analysis is paralysis at the end of it. So depending on AI, on predicting the outcome and all of these things, obviously, it is an issue. Also, AI is also dependent on a lot of data that the model is trained on, right? And it's only limited to that data. So initially, till you have a very evolved language model, it will always be extremely, it could have biases, it could have scenarios where, you can't completely trust AI. Yeah, but saying that, having said that, at the end of it, I think sports is kind of a genre of content which is best enjoyed live, and that live action and what happens on the ground, what happens in front of the cameras is the most important event that one should look at. And I think what technology should ensure that we never move out of the actual game and start playing something which is completely, automated. There's gaming for that. There's other aspects of esports on that. I think a sport should remain a sport. at the end of it, that's what everything is around, built around.
Thank you. Coming to you, Siddhant, how is AI enabling fans to create their own content during sports event, whether through automated tools for capturing highlights or creating personalized streams?
I think a very good example of non-AI stuff is YouTube Shorts and a very simple icon, the scissor icon on the longer streams that you see. So a lot of our streams today, we let people just press a button and create a small short clip of 30 seconds, 20 seconds, and very easily integrate into their social handles, download it, share it on WhatsApp. So you might not even need fancy AI for that. Plus, as Prashant was mentioning, that with smarter, with more intelligence, you need to understand what moment in a game is more important. Sometimes a dot ball in the 19th over would be more important than a 6 in the first over, as he mentioned. So if your system is able to automatically segment these clips while the match is live and show them as key moments, which we do see on Hotstar a lot, it sort of simplifies content sharing for the end user very easily. So I think today, since the second screen experience is a part of everyone's watching experience, a broadcaster or a streaming platform, if it can deliver this content to the end users live, I think it's the biggest differentiator. And I see that as the biggest use of machine learning or AI in terms of content creation for live sports. And then when you go to the world of Instagram Reels and TikTok in other countries, you've got so much inbuilt intelligence in terms of what audio to pick, what sort of filters to add on top of short clips, not just in sports, but in fact much more in other verticals than in sports, that it's sort of become a habit, I would say. Everyone today demands that short form. I think AI for me is beyond short form. I think there is lots to be done, but in the short form, I think there is a lot of problems that AI has already solved for.
I would now like to open the floor for the audience. Any questions from the audience to the panelists out here? Yeah.
Thank you, sir. It was excellent discussions. Sir, regarding the data provided by the AI, how it can help to give a storytelling about product or services offered by the company. Now the storytelling is more important than the product itself. So does it help data of the AI to give the story of the product or service?
That's a good question. So I think absolutely, AI is basically smart technologies talking to each other and analyzing that data quickly. So whether you talk about predictive analysis, like for example, there is a particular player playing, on a particular occasion, and you want to compare their stats. That gives you predictive analysis on what you can do. And that if you combine with, camera tracking, you provide real visual, impact to your viewers, it just creates, an highlight package for them that makes them visualize the sport in a better way.
So I'll just add on to that. What you asked for is basically you generate a lot of data while a live game is on. If you're asking if AI can create a narrative out of that data and make it more easy, yes, it can. And obviously, as I told you earlier, a sport is a very event-based journey, right? There is a game going on, then there are highlights, there's a event that happens. You're playing in a very definitive pitch or a definitive area, which can be controlled with cameras which are very, very focused and driven by AI. And the narrative can also be, done by AI. However, we must also understand that human beings today, the guys who do sports, are extremely talented and are extremely focused. So it's not going to change that very quickly, but yes, what can happen is like a lot of games today that needs to be produced cannot get produced just because the sheer lack of infrastructure and lack of probably budgets. AI can make that bridge that gap and give you some cost-effective solutions, which probably will make it easier for content creators to get more and more B-level, C-level sport for consumption to the viewers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hi, Siddhant, you are very close to grassroots sports. So my question is specifically to you. How do you see AI helping in grassroots sports in India?
I think it's like we were mentioning, content creation was rather impossible. Like I think 5 years back we were never thinking of broadcasting or producing or streaming, whatever we call it, a small scale match. I think automation and eventually AI is going to play a significant role in bringing content out of such leagues, tournaments. Today, we work with one of our interesting partners based out of Israel, Pixelot, where we stream about close to 40,000 matches in South Africa without having to step foot in that country. And this is all happening through automations, AI, and a lot more around it. There's still storytelling that is happening. And I think all this would have been impossible if we didn't have that technology. So I think if you ask me what role, I think it's going to be the base of it. You won't be able to do anything without having technology beyond a certain point. You will be handicapped without technology. I would say technology, not just AI, but in general, your cloud production, your AI, all play a role in sort of bringing this content out.
Yeah, I'll just add to, you spoke about grassroots sports, right? Grassroots sports is extremely broad. We're just looking at one aspect of it in terms of broadcast. When you look at the data application in terms of how the kids are nurtured and managed in terms of their nutrition, the capabilities that they have, Google Cloud ran a very beautiful program with the FA where they were able to capture the same capabilities that allowed a Mohamed Salah or a Haaland to reach the levels of peak performance, to start managing and nurturing for those kids by bringing out that data from a time that they're 6 years old. And that allows them to see what their lung capacity could possibly be at certain ages, what's the nutrition that is required to be able to get to that level is, where that deficiency could possibly be. Because eventually what you capture on broadcast is heroes. Nobody sees, the multiple people that roam around, right? It's the superstars that actually shine. And that's what's really important. When you break it down to the minutest detail and say, where all can these applications come in to make sure that the entire ecosystem is benefiting? If you just pick up one piece, then it unfortunately becomes extremely disjointed. So I think there is great play in all of that data to be used, to make informed decisions, make decisions that allow you to make sure that it eventually lines up in Siddhant's kitty to say, we need to produce 1,000 more games happening in maybe some other part of the world where kids are, having great performances.
Right. So, thank you. I think we have an amazing panel. Thank you for putting it together. Just question targeted to people, but I'm happy to hear everybody's view on it. Prashant and Kinshuk. Sports production, AI, dynamic ad in video replacement. Thoughts? I'm not going to lead you into it. I just want to hear what you think it is. Does it exist? Is it going to get there?
Okay, that's more monetization part of it. I think you guys, we all know that sports without proper monetization is just another game happening somewhere. It's very important, and yes, with second screen coming in, with digital dissipation of live sports coming in, I think yes, it is quite a big opportunity, and I think there is enough work which is being done as we speak, which will allow better monetization on not only digital deliveries. I'm quite hopeful that it will touch upon every form of delivery, because finally when sports happens, anything which is after live is just not as productive or as commercially viable as when it's live, right? So how many have a screen it goes out on? I think technology, especially AI, will be able to get you to the customer, get you to the advertiser. The best buck for your product is something which I think this technology can help cap, and I'm pretty hopeful that it will be productive on this one.
Yeah, so Kingshuk touched upon it, but what's really interesting is that we look at it as something that's not narrowcasting but dynamic. It simply comes down to how can I make the broadcast for one extremely dynamic, which means when you talk about monetization or content, you will show up basis your demographic, your access, your output, and today, you have the capability through all the data that's available, through all the information that's available, to be in a position to monetize it a lot better. But I think what's interesting is, again, we make this really generic, right? We talk about monetization without breaking it down in terms of what does that mean at scale versus, can you really monetize to 15,000 people independently versus selling it at scale for the value that you're actually giving for that content. And, a lot of it is in live. So yeah, I think it's deciding what really works for each option. We work across linear and digital, between all the big broadcasters that are there, and we make sure that their services and offerings are very different. They're tailored basis what are those monetization markets that they're actually catering to.
Sorry, just a follow up. So, are you actually exploring, hearing, or seeing things about in video without disrupting the user experience? Ads in there, especially in sports.
Yeah, so in game is sacrosanct. You definitely don't touch that, because that fiddles with your live experience. Then you're actually programming the game, which shouldn't be the case at all. Like I said, but in if you talk about breaks, and which again is the capability that allows you to monetize, you're free to do that, in whichever way you can. Certain sports lend themselves really well to monetization. Some sports don't. For example, it's very difficult to monetize hockey. We've tried it for multiple years, but both the narrative and the breaks are extremely difficult when you look at it. Cricket is fantastic in that sense. So you figure out different things in gameplay, which is whether you look at your strategic timeout or specific drink breaks that show up, but you'll definitely not have a Virat or a Rohit walking past a Coke can when they're in the middle of the crease at some point in time. I think that's just not happening.
I'd just like to add, from a technology perspective, there are technology available, and we have a product called Viz Arena that helps you put regional specific ads, so you can see different ads at different places, and these could be cam carpets, and this is just looking at the computer vision, keying out a particular player, placing a graphic, and you can do this in live game, and this has been there forever. Now with the role of AI, it just makes it more simpler, it's making more efficient, and it's just making the process like there is a comparison between color keyer versus AI keyer. In a sporting environment, look at a cricket match, the lighting conditions will change from morning to evening, and that is where it becomes quite important that how the technology is helping you to make the process more efficient. So the technology has been there for quite some time, in which you can put regional specific ads, you can do it during the game, you can do it on the carpet, you can do cam carpets, you can do different kind of advertisements.
Okay, in conclusion, I would like to ask all the panelists 30 seconds. Looking forward, what advancements in AI do you think will impact the future of sports production? What innovations are you most excited about? I would like to start with Prashant.
We don't talk about the future. But okay, so what's interesting is, everybody asks this, people are worried, what happens, AI is coming in, people are using ChatGPT to write their appraisals, people are, using all of those things. What's interesting is that, it's not AI that will take jobs, it's people who know how to use AI that will eventually take jobs, right? And for us, the future is bright, it's very exciting. We run an R&D lab, which is the Star Lab on our side, where we have strategic partnerships with academia. We had partnerships with, some of the people who are in the audience. We work with the Disney Research Labs and the Imagineering. Every theme park that you see, every ship that you see of Disney, all of that entertainment is powered by some really massive artificial intelligence, machine learning, and bits and pieces. We try and bring that to live sport, and that's what's really exciting for us, in terms of the future. I think we're not very far away where regionalization, specifically in India, will pick up to a point where you are able to take the same game to the deepest pockets for an audience that loves to see it in their language and their visuals, and not be shackled about what you want to show them. Thank you.
Okay, that's a very, very good question, and it's already pretty late. I haven't had my lunch, so I'm very hungry. Anyway, think of AI as an assistant you always wanted but never had. And that assistant can get smarter and smarter and smarter. So I feel AI is going to assist sports production, especially sports production, in a very positive way. It's going to make the game extremely focused for not only the guys playing the game, but also all the audiences watching and consuming that game on various platforms. Highlights, obviously, people today do not probably have the patience to watch 4 hours or 1 hour or 2 hours of game. People want to consume things very quickly in shorts on a 9:16 screen rather than by 16:9 screen. So all of these innovations actually are going to be powered behind by AI, and it's going to make human life and human life in production is extremely stressful. And Prashant can tell me how easy, or he's smiling. But it will always, kind of obviously give it a much better assistant that you always will value.
Yes, I think the biggest change we're going to see, or AI will make a lot of things possible. Like we were discussing earlier, there would be more content that is generated using AI, things that you could not cover initially, you could not stream, produce, broadcast, would become possible. And I think speed, as Kingshuk mentioned, it's an assistant that you never had. So I think it's going to optimize a lot of your workflows, and I think make a lot of things that we never thought could have been possible. Like it would give you a ray of hope in terms of capturing and producing those.
In conclusion, as a technology provider, what do you think about AI?
Yeah, I think there are two sides of it. One is creative, and I think creative is, artificial intelligence has been fed by humans. There are people working behind to feed you answers on what questions you are asking. So the creative angle will still remain, but when you talk from a tech perspective, it's going to make life much more simpler for broadcasters. There will be, facial recognitions coming in the future. There's going to be health managements of sports players become better with AI. And, so the role of AI is, as everybody said, is going to be more as an enabler to help produce more. But I think there's a word called sentient, which means that, there's an emotional angle to everything. Are you happy or are you feeling sad? And that sports will always do that for us. We feel bad, we feel good. That will never be overtaken by AI. AI will not tell us whether to be happy or to be sad. That's a feeling that we have. And I think AI would probably not get there, and it should not get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all the esteemed speakers for a very engaging and knowledgeable session. And thank you to all the delegates. I would like to hand it over to Yvonne for the final proceedings.
Yes, let's give them a warm round of applause. Manoj, Manoj will just hand over mementos to our panelists. And just to let the audience know, we are giving them certificates, which are tree certificates. A tree has been planted in their name at the Sundarbans in West Bengal. Request you all to please continue to stay on stage for a group photograph. Request you all to please come forward for a group photograph.